Today I want to show you a quick warm-up routine that I personally like to do at the moment to move my rib cage and my thoracic spine in all different directions. So I think I've mentioned in a different blog post a flat spine, right? I personally have a very flat spine. I don't have a lot of curves in my spine. And especially in the rib cage, and it was kind of funny because I was looking at one of my videos, and I don't see myself very often at moving, right, exercising. We don't. That's why we need a teacher in Pilates. So I saw myself on that video, and I saw how my rib cage was like this one chunk, and I was like, no movement in my rib cage, which is terrible. So I decided to try and get a little bit more mobility in here, which hopefully will take a mobility away from my lower back, which is hypermobile, my lumbar spine. Okay, so the spine corrector, hence the name, right? Spine corrector is perfect to try and help us with our spinal curves. So I do two exercises. Definitely is one is a supported thoracic extension, and then the other one is just a lateral flexion and a rotation. And they're just big stretches for my spine, and feels really good to do it. So I usually start with the supported back bend. Oh yes, and I'm on the balanced body arc. Why I use this is because it's long, and I have a long torso, and it's not the curve, the barrel part is not very curved, so it's on the flatter side. If you compare it to I think most other spine correctors, they're rounder and possibly shorter, so my spine just cannot deal with that. If you have somebody very flexible, or shorter. So I usually put all my taller people onto this. All of my shorter students go onto the other spine corrector, which is the shorter one, and it's more padded. The other one is actually more comfortable, but what are you gonna do? I'm stuck with this one. So, so I'm gonna start sitting in the well, facing out, and I'm gonna just lie back, support my back, and then I'm scooting forward until my hips are actually on the lip, and I'm gonna hold my head in my hands. So I do this because if my hips are way up here on the lip, then my lower back is straight and supported. If I sit back into the well, I'm already in the extension, and all of the extension goes into my lumbar spine because that's what's my hypermobile, right? So I'm scooting forward, not allowing my lumbar spine to extend. I'm holding the weight on my head, and I'm starting to just sink back over the curve. And this is already quite a big stretch for my thoracic spine. And today was pretty good, so I was able to get my head down right away the first time on the first repetition. On other days when I'm maybe a little bit tighter, it takes me 1 or 2 times to actually touch my head back. Okay, so just patience. And then while I'm here, I'm breathing into the front of my chest. So something that you might discourage most of your students from doing, because most of us breathe too much in the front, but my body definitely needs it. And the more I breathe into the front of the chest, the more I can sink back into the back bend. And I definitely feel the work down my spine, down my thoracic spine. I can hold here, or I can come up and get a little break. Try and teach my neck muscles to stop working, keep the weight of my head in my hands, and use my stomach to pull me up a little bit. And then I'll go back again. I retract my head, so my head's heavy in my hands, so we're not extending, just dropping this down. Good. And I'm just getting rid of this arm so you can see what's happening. Breathing in here. And what's so nice here is that the ribs sink down this way, while my thoracic spine, my sternum, the top of the rib cage sinks down that way. So we have these two opposing directions. And that's just beautiful. Hold my head again, and come up. Good. So then while I'm here, sometimes I just go into a little bit of abdominal work. Maybe I slide just a little bit up my hip. My hips actually didn't change. I just slid my thoracic spine up a little bit, so I'm in a little bit more in flexion. I personally have a hard time with thoracic flexion as well, so the support here is really good. Takes the effort away from my neck, and then I can maybe bring my legs up and do some frogs, double leg lowers with bent legs. That works for me. I turn my legs out, I squeeze my heels together to turn on my glutes, to turn off my hip flexors. If this works well, maybe I'll do the 100. This is one of the few versions of the 100 that I can stand. Or my neck can stand, I should say, right? I'll just keep it short. I won't do the 100 right now. Okay, and then I'm going to come up, and I'm turning sideways for the Mermaid. I love the Mermaid on the spine corrector. So my one leg, one thigh is kind of locked into the well, sitting fairly far back, so there's a good support here. I'm resting my elbow, my forearm, onto the top of the spine corrector, are the barrel part, and I'm just reaching up and over. Okay. I try not to collapse into the shoulder, but lift out of the shoulder. So by pushing away from the barrel, I drop the opposing hip down, which brings a really good stretch, often down here, like into the attachment of the abdominals here on top of the pelvic bowl. I love this part. And then going in the other direction, the way that I sit kind of keeps my hip down automatically, so it's the same thing. I feel a good stretch down here. Good. I usually do this a few times back and forth, but I'll keep it short for right now, and then I'll go into rotation. So again, I'm not collapsing into the shoulder, lifting out of that, reaching the other arm up, and then I place one forearm against the other. Oh, that's a party. Okay, so I'm really breathing into my ribcage here. This is such a beautiful twist and stretch for my back. Again, not collapsing into the shoulders. I'm lifting out of them, pulling my armpits down to my hips. And I'm breathing into my back. And I stay here usually until I feel that the stretch is not as intense anymore. Right, it opens up with every breath. And again, I'm going to keep it short. I should stay there a little longer, but let's do this on the other side. So you can totally do more than one repetition from side to side. Again, I just wanted to keep it short for the video, but you can do the side to side movement as often as you need to. The more stretch you feel, the more often you should do it, right? Because it needs more opening. All right, and I'm coming up and around. So that's my little spine warm-up. Try it out, see how you like it. Use it, or just start looking at your students' rib cages a little bit more. See if they're stiff, because we always focus so much on stability, but if there is the hypermobility is often because of the lack of mobility in a different part of the body, and often right next to it, right? So if you have, for instance, a hypermobile lumbar spine, then the rib cage is often very tight, and that's why it's this cycle, right? We don't know, chicken and egg, which one came first. Was the rib cage tight first and that caused the hypermobile lumbar spine, or was the lumbar spine hypermobile and that caused the rib cage to tighten up? Either way, we'll work on both. We do some stability and some mobility respectively to try and become superhumans. or just a little bit better. Okay, thank you so much. See you next time.